Hello. So I have this written in my notes here. The government pushing jobs that fills the market and too many of the same jobs. So let's talk about that. Let me actually even go back a little bit. So when I was in high school, the school that I was at was very big on pushing engineering. Now, obviously, even when I was younger, I was like, I wanted to do aerospace engineering or like I wanted to do something with flight because, my dad flies. He's been a pilot for forever. My grandpa was an airplane mechanic in Korea. And then my other grandfather was, an engineer for aircraft. So I was like, okay, it's like in my lineage, right? It's literally like baked into my lineage that this is what I'm going to do. I love airplanes. I still do. I would love to do shit with them. It's just that, like, why am I going to compete against the Chinese guy, right? But also, like, this is what I'm getting at is that, the school was like, oh, we got to push engineering now because we're losing a lot of engineers. So what did every other school do? They pushed engineering. And then there's too many fucking engineers in the market. So now I have to compete against a Chinese kid that literally all he does is study every day of his life and has no purpose other than studying. First off, what kind of a life is that? And I feel so bad for them. We need to treat them right as much as as much as they're in a different culture and or different country, we need to show them what it's like to actually have a life and live and be loved. But also, like there's just too many goddamn engineers. And the government is responsible for that. They are the ones who did that, right? They are the ones who told the schools, hey, we need to push engineering because there's not enough engineers. Engineers are getting phased out. And now there's too fucking many of them. And the same thing is happening again, dude, with airplanes. Like, literally, I was talking to a kid at the physical therapy place, and, he's, like, wanting to do airplane stuff. Like, he's wanting to do avionics, avionic controls or whatever, dials and whatnot. And this kid is like being phased out by everybody else who's also doing the same shit. And it's like, what doesn't help is that you don't know what's going on in another school. You don't. Like, when you're 16 or when you're 18, you have no fucking clue what's going on outside of your school in these other schools. They're all doing the exact same shit. So now it's like everybody is becoming a pilot because pilots are getting older and they want, basically the smartest pilots, but yet the cheapest labor. And it's like it gets pushed down to some Chinese kid or some kid from India or whatever. And it's like, this is just not how we treat people, right? It's just not. And it's like, it's literally the government's fault as to why we grow up thinking we're failures. I mean, literally, when I was doing engineering in college, I was like, this shit is insane. Right? Like, granted, I was ahead of the curve in AutoCAD and Inventor and things of that nature, but like the actual, mathematics, which granted, I do love mathematics, but I'm really not that great at it. I'm really not. And, you have all these different groups of people coming together and it's like, fuck, dude, like I am not the cream of the crop. And the shit we were, like, low-key, the shit we were doing in high school was actually better than the shit we were doing in college. Like, I felt like I went back. So I was like, I'm just not, I'm not going to keep up this facade anymore. I low-key hate this, and I don't want to sit in an office job my entire life. I would like to move around. I loved seeing my finished work in high school. It was great. Yeah, like, the government is fucking everything up because they keep being like, oh, we need more of this. And then everybody goes into it. And then everybody gets bummed that not everybody can be an aircraft pilot, or like not everybody can be an engineer. So they're setting up people to feel like failures, right? And I'm going to tell you, you're not a failure. This system has failed you, not you being a failure. Okay. That's first off. And then second off, it's literally like, it's almost communism, but not communism. We're like, okay, we need more bread factories. Everybody become bread workers. And then, that sounds so retarded. Everybody become bakers is what I meant to say. Fucking bread workers. Yeah, like everybody become bakers. And then, you have the entire country being bakers, and yet nobody is an artist or nobody is a movie producer. Like, diversity comes from the individual, not necessarily from the elites. So it's really annoying that these people are structuring a system that is setting up its youth for failure, and then they wonder why we hate them, right? It's like, and I use hate loosely because I hate them in the sense of their incompetence and the fact that they hate us, but I don't want the worst for them. Like, I want the best for them, even though they hate us, right? And it's a shame. I've been meaning to say this for a while. Things that are Hegelian dialectics, right? This is why Caesar from Fallout New Vegas is so goddamn based. Because all he does, it's the perfect phrase, right? The idea of the Hegelian dialectic, where things will sway from one side to another really strongly, and then eventually it comes to the center, which is the synthesis. So you have the thesis. In the game, the thesis is the NCR, right? And then the antithesis is the Legion, which are basically polar opposites in ideology, but and well, also I guess in like economy and in military structure. But like, it's a little bit more complicated than that, because when they come together or when they clash, the synthesis that is created from the two clashing is an empire of sorts, right? Or like, that's what Caesar believes. But the same thing can be talked about with how this is going to go, where like they keep swinging from one side to another, right? Or let's say we are the thesis and they are the antithesis. Eventually it's going to come to the synthesis where like people are just kind of like, fuck it, we ball. I'm going to be what I want to be, not what's happening. Hopefully that wasn't kind of lost in translation. I might make a whole video just on the idea of the Hegelian dialectic, which is sort of hilarious because it wasn't even entirely Hegel who wrote that. I don't remember exactly who kind of like came up with that first, or like that idea of the synthesis. But yeah, it's funny too, because Caesar doesn't even use it the same way. He uses it in the sense of like, it's Hegelian dialectics, not personal animosity. It is a necessity that it be destroyed, right? So like, that's what he says. And it's funny that that's how I feel literally about like, you've heard me in my rants about the government. Like literally like 75% of my life is literally, it's Hegelian dialectics, not personal animosity. It is a necessity that this thing be destroyed so that it stops, functioning as a tool for evil. So yeah, I know I kind of took that out of proportion, but yeah, like the government is just fucking up everything, right? As they normally do. Like even the government jobs themselves, you have transit workers, people who like do bus line who are getting laid off, and like the buses are necessary for the cities. They just are. And then, then commutes get fucked up, and then everybody's in a car, and then nothing functions anymore. And it's like, okay, great. Like it literally took like 50 people to do that. It took 50 people to fuck up 10 million people in a city, right? It's just insane. It's so insane. So yeah, and they do this thing where like, they flood the market because they think that that's the best thing that needs to happen. That's the thing going forward, and it's not, right? It's just, I know that was a bit of a rant there, but like, God damn it, if they're not the worst, the worst constructors of something, whether that be art or a system or a society. I mean, they literally just... And that just might be the way we're living now, because like people back in the day, I feel like had a little bit more of an idea on how to construct things, both physically and spiritually and or mentally. But now it's just like we're living off the backs of a system that was made by people that are long dead. So it's really annoying that we're even like nothing's being made anymore, right? And a lot of that has to do with the government pushing jobs, or the ideas of things that are not jiving with who we are as people, right? Like I said earlier, they're pushing everybody down the engineering pipeline, and a lot of the people I saw in college should not have been engineers, right? They just should, like, more so, like, sure, they could do the math, but like their heart was in it for greed, not for what could be made, right? So I saw that in a few people. I saw that in this girl that I knew there for a little bit. So, I asked her, I was like, why are you even doing this? Because clearly you don't like the engineering aspect of it. And she was like, yeah, well, I'm doing it for the money because the pay is so good. It's like, okay, well, you're missing the point, aren't you? Right? You're missing the point. The point is to make a better world, a better society. And you're doing it for greed. That is exactly how we're falling into a failed society. So hopefully that makes sense. I think that's about it, though. I'll be seeing you.